Hey, what's up guys? Movie Maniac here. Now, as you guys know, I like a bunch of different movie genres. I like sci-fi, I like samurai movies, I like western movies, I like action movies, thrillers, romance, comedies, and so much more. But there's one little movie genre that I don't usually talk too much, and that's usually horror movies. Now, I'm a huge fan of horror movies. So why do not talk about horror movies too much? Well, there's just not that good horror movies these days. Let's look back when horror movies began. In the 1920s, there were silent movies, bringing us all the visuals to scare us. The 1930s through 40s gave us monster movies like Dracula and Frankenstein. The 50s was more sci-fi horror, giant monsters, like Godzilla or even the creature from the Black Lagoon. In the 1960s, Alfred Hitchcock started the slasher flicks with Psycho. Then the 1970s was the gritty ages of horror movies, making them more violent and realistic. And that's where my favorite horror film, Halloween, comes along. The 1980s was my favorite decades of horror movies, bringing in cheesy horror flicks, creative horror flicks, and practical effects gory flicks. The 90s was more psychological and realistic to its horror movies. The 2000 decade is where you can see the horror genre starting to fall short with horror remakes, and just comes off as a cash grab and shame. Now today, I don't know what to call this decade as, because there's three certain horror movies being made. The demon possessing movies, the ghost movies, and interesting ideas being ruined movies. This is the decade I wish I wasn't living in. But let's look at those three elements of today's horror movies and see why they don't work. Number 1. Demon-possessing movies. It all started in 1973 with the movie The Exorcist. Back then, it was considered one of the most scariest movies of all time, with disturbing acting and disturbing visuals. Meanwhile, in the late 2000s, they revisited the genre, starting out okay, but then it gets very cliche today. They'll try anything to use for an Exorcist ripoff, or at least any person. A woman, a man, a child, a baby, even a dog. I wouldn't be surprised if they used a lamp for the next ripoff.
I'm Cthulhu!
Where are you?
Right over here, the lamp.
Cthulhu, are you drunk?
No. Maybe. Okay, I had a couple of shots. Can I stay the night over?
Alright, but one night only. Wait, I didn't mean my body! It's also becoming silly instead of scary, because the acting is more over the top than scary. I mean, it's not creepy or disturbing, it's hilarious. Every time wherever I see a demon-possessed person scream, I just expect them to fart. Number 2. Ghost movies. Paranormal Activity raised the bar with magnificent jump scares and practical effects. It was so good, it spawned way too many sequels, and it got really old after the first time. I mean, to me, these days, ghost movies are so predictable. They got me found footage styled, family stalking, creepy girl in the movie, and just random sound effects that just comes off as tiring. Now, you might be saying, oh, The Conjuring is the best out of all those ghost movies. To be honest, it's not. It's just another basic ghost movie that just puts me to sleep. Not excited for the sequels or spin-off. I didn't even know they were going to do one. Number 3. Great ideas being executed poorly. When I heard about The Purge, I said to myself, yes, finally, a good idea for a horror movie. I mean, home invasion is like my second fear in real life. I mean, every time I go outside, I check if there was any robbers or murderers outside my house. That's how scary it is, and I really want to see that in a horror movie. And I want to see how much they handled the situation. overall, in The Purge, they just kill the idea, making the plot so illogical and bland. It disappoints me a lot. In the movie, they'd explain that the government has a holiday called the Purge where the criminals can do whatever they want. They set the tone if it was realistic. It doesn't work because nobody, even the government, wouldn't do this. It's a stupid idea. I think it just should have been a simple, realistic, scary home invasion movie. But basically what I'm trying to say here, if any horror movie gets a really clever premise, they will ruin the idea with illogical stories or just complicated things they'll have to put in there. And a little bonus for number 4 that I like to point out is not good written characters. I mean, in almost any horror movies these days, you just don't care about the characters. Which is sad because you want to care about the characters in the situation that they're going through. I mean, let me tell you a perfect example. Alien. Alien's a perfect example for really good written characters. And you hate to see them die, and you really feel for them when you go to these situations. It becomes really scary. But today's horror characters are forgettable, bland, you don't care about them, you just want to see them die. I mean, jeez, Sharknado had more convincing characters than any horror movies these days. Yep, I just said it. Sharknado had more better developed characters than any horror movies today. That's how bad horror is becoming today. Overall, I'm just disappointed in today's horror movies being made into cash-grabbing money things for movie studios, which sucks. So, yeah. But here's my advice to all of you future horror filmmakers out there. 1, get a good premise for a movie. 2, get good written characters. And 3, get good scares. I mean, that's the point of horror movie to have fun with, is being scared. So, yeah. Anyways, my also question today is, what do you think of today's horror movies? Comment down below. Check out my other videos; they're really cool. Like or dislike my video. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. See ya.